And so, because for him, he knows the greater financial benefit is not having that, storing all that stuff in our garage.
Right. and taking up the space.
Exactly. So so in my mind, it's wasteful, costful to replace it. But in actuality, we're saving money because we're not paying to store it for the next 10 to infinite number of years. So
right.
That's been a big reframe.
That's part of the
Welcome to Reframe and Reclaim. We are Courtney Huckabee, a psychotherapist,
and Jen Harris, an interior designer who have teamed up
to reflect,
challenge,
and reframe your mindset in relationship with your personal belongings.
Join us as we discuss and declutter all of the stuff that keeps us stuck.
Learn to intentionally create environments with improved function and design that cultivate peace of mind. Find the reframe.
Start your reclaim.
Hey everyone, I'm Jen Harris.
And I'm Courtney Huckabee.
And we're the writers of Reframe and Reclaim. And today we are talking about the new year and new goals. By the time this airs, it's going to be February. So statistically, 80% of you will have given up on your New Year's resolutions, I believe. So.
Yeah, I think the statistics are something like everybody will fall off the bandwagon in some way in the first month of the year. But that doesn't mean you have to give up on your goals for the new year.
Yeah, there's nothing that says January 1st is the start date and December 31st is the end. You know, it's start when you have the motivation. Right?
And we're here to talk about how to start that motivation and how to stick to those goals, especially when it comes to your home. You know, our book is all about reframing, starting new, reclaiming, making sure your space functions for you and your family. And we want to talk about how to set those goals and stick to those goals so you can be successful and have a home that fits your needs.
So, Courtney, when someone's starting out, I mean, it can be a very daunting and overwhelming process. Like, you start with all this motivation and then, where do I start? So what do you tell your clients whenever they're trying to tackle a new goal?
Let me tell you, I love doing a vision or a look ahead or an ideal for the next year with my clients, especially, you know, if we've been working on goals for a while or if there's some personal successes that they're trying to accomplish. So we really look at looking further ahead. So looking at the ideal or the vision of where you want to be, not where we're starting. So for you, it may be, I want a home that, you know, it takes 1 hour to clean every week. Or I want a home that feels comfortable and cozy when you walk in. Or I want to declutter the garage. And so we really talk about where you want to be. And then we come backwards to what are those steps that are going to help me to get there. So we're looking at the end in mind.
Very good. Do you have any goals for this year for your home?
I actually do. Decluttering my garage is my goal. And so me and my husband have been working on this for a little while. You know, I love to buy new things and I like to store things in my home and I like to, you know, put things away in the garage if I don't have a space in my home. But we also want to be able to park our cars in the garage. That's my goal this year, is to get my car back in the garage.
Yes.
What about you, Jen? Do you have any goals for your home this year?
I do. The one is also the garage as well. So Courtney and I both have like almost 3-car garages for both of us. So there's lots of space to fill if we choose to, right? And we have chosen to over the years.
We choose to a lot to fill it with things. Yes.
And all that to say, you know, we are all on our own journeys and we are not perfect. We're not here to say our house is, you know, magazine ready every single day of the year, right? We're human. Mm-hmm. We have small humans living in our homes, and that's just life. For me, my big goal is we are actually going to be moving later in the spring after the school year, and so I'm very excited because I've been in my home for almost 10 years. So I'm really excited to go through and purge and just get rid of a whole bunch of stuff, because I know there's boxes of things in the garage that I hadn't looked at in a while. You know, like I did a big purge whenever I was in my big nesting period when I was pregnant, and went through every single box in my garage. But I know there's a couple boxes I haven't gone through again since that time. So and why am I holding on to it? So moving really gives me the motivation and the permission to get rid of things because I don't want to pay to move it again just to store it. So it's really helping me reset and reframe my mindset where it is okay to get rid of this stuff because it's just sitting there and someone else could use it. So
this is perfect, Jen. How do you feel being one of my mock clients today?
Love it. Bring it on.
Well, and this is a great way to show you that this can be done with anyone. It doesn't have to be somebody who is a collector or a hoarder. We're just regular moms that are trying to figure out how our home can better function.
Yes.
And so right now you have a garage.
I do. Three-car garage.
A 3-car garage, and you're going to be moving at the end of spring, early summer.
Yes.
What is your hope or goal when you get to your move?
When I get to the move. So currently right now we can park 1 car in the garage as long as my kids put their scooters and bikes and things back where they belong. If not, it's going to be about 20 minutes to get everything out of the way so I can get my car in. But that was just a side note. The new home is only going to have a 2-car garage. So that is going to pose a problem for all of my decorations I love. So my goal is nothing is going in the garage that isn't going to stay there. So the cars will go in and we can only fill the space where the cars will still fit. So I've never done that moving in a place. I've always put everything in the garage and then go box by box to get it in the home. And my plan this time is to just flood the house with boxes because then it's in my way every day, so I can't ignore it, and I take care of it quicker, and it becomes a higher priority. This technique doesn't work for everybody, but if I see it, I take care of it.
Your goal is to put things into your home so you will see them, and you will get to that either figuring out how to reorganize that or what to maybe let go of and what to store somewhere inside your home instead of your garage.
So it's coming to. So I'm hoping to get rid of everything before we move. So I already know that the things I'm keeping will stay. We are going to put in some organizers that hang from the rafters of your garage. That's what we have in our current home, and it has worked out really, really well for seasonal decorations. And then all the sentimental items, like I have a bin of like my childhood things and a bin for my sons. Those I want to store inside out of the heat.
Okay.
Because the Texas heat will just deteriorate everything. But my goal is to keep that inside and then either, if we need it, build another smaller storage unit in the backyard or somewhere else to store the other items. But really keep the garage as a functional place because the other side of it is we're going to be doing some remodeling when we're there. Mm-hmm. So we need access to the garage for tools, to cut boards, for paint. And so it's a high priority to keep the garage cleared. So it's a very long answer.
So do you have an idea of how many boxes that you will be able to or hope to pare down for your new garage?
I'm hoping it will be like the big, large metal shelves, which I talk about in the book. I'm hoping it will be 4 of those.
Okay. So 4 metal shelves.
4 shelves with 4 shelves each. So it's... Yes.
So you will have 4 shelves and 4 levels.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, perfect. So... And you say you want to keep some of the more sentimental items like your childhood things or your child's things out of the temperature, heat, all the things in the Texas heat, and have them indoors. So what will be stored on those 4 shelves, do you imagine?
So there is a section for camping and outdoor gear. There is a section for transition things, and I'm trying to see if this can go inside or not, where it's like stuff that is, we have very gracious friends who give us clothes for our kids, but they don't need them quite yet. So some of it lives out in the garage to come back to later to pool. So there will be some of that. There's also going to be decorations like Christmas and stuff like that, as well as a section for gardening, home things, power washers and air pumps and
tools
that kind of stuff.
Things.
Tools, yes.
Okay. So I hear decorations, clothes we're not ready for yet.
Yes.
Tools for the home and outdoor camping gear.
Yes, and there will also be a section with the clothes for donations. I always have a donation station in my garage, so when I'm going out, I can just drop stuff in it, and when the box is full, I can take that to wherever as I'm donating it. Another tip too, if you get overwhelmed by like the big boxes, get a smaller box, and then when that's filled, take it out. So it doesn't have to be this giant box taking up space in your garage that you're waiting to fill up. Because I've given myself that excuse too, where it's like, well, it's not full yet, so I shouldn't take it out. And it sits there. So,
and we've actually adopted that. My husband has built a shelf where the bins go into the shelf, and we have 2 bins that are just for donation. One is for clothes, and one's for household items. And now, instead, well, kind of what I do is I put it near the garage door, and then my husband takes it out. But we put it into that bin, and once those bins are filled, then we go and we donate them. And so we have a system now. Now this is a new system, but it's been working really well. But what I hear is you have 4 different categories, 4 shelves. They each have 4 levels on it.
yes.
So do you think it's realistic to say like one shelf is camping, one shelf is decoration, one shelf is tools for home, and one shelf is clothes and donations?
I think so. We'll see after the paring down goes, but that's my goal. That's my goal. Yeah.
So you have a goal to look forward to that we're working towards. Now, what are the everyday small steps that are realistic, that aren't going to be too overwhelming for you? You still have to be a mom. You're still going to be working. You're still going to be hopefully resting a little bit in the next couple of months. What do you think are some appropriate small steps to keep you accountable to getting to that goal?
Yes. So if you've read the book, so one of the issues I have is like not being wasteful. I'm very sentimental, and I have a really hard time with the last step of like getting things out of the house. And so my husband will comment like, I have a huge pile of donation, but then it sits there and doesn't get donated, right? And so my husband and I are now tag teaming, and we have dedicated an hour or 2 every weekend where we're going to tackle just whatever we can. And then he takes whatever we're donating out the door then. So that way it's not sitting in our home and it's not taking up space. And then during the week, if I have any time, I'll put stuff into that donation section of the garage. But that's how.
So you're working on your strengths. Like you have the time to actually go through the things during the week, and he has the accountability to take it out of the home.
Yes. And then he holds me more accountable because he's very minimalistic, and he's like, whatever, I'll just buy it again if I need it, or, I'm not going to need it. And so I will sometimes lay out things where I'm on the fence about it. And then I'll ask him, I'm like, what do you think? And I'm really just looking for validation for him to say, get rid of it, right? That's really what I want. But for some reason, maybe you can help. My mental psyche is like, has this block. So he gives me that permission to get rid of it.
And I will say, we all need validation in different ways. Sometimes it's internal validation. Sometimes I need to hear it from 5 different people for me to think, okay, this is a great idea. Sometimes I need it to come from, this person, not this person. So I do think that if this process works for you and you really are releasing the things, again, all in your time, all what works for you. Don't do things that you're going to be resentful to someone else for or regret letting go of something. But you know yourself, and you're starting to be more honest with yourself with the 7 steps. We talk about this in the book, like the only way to not do the 7 steps correctly is if at the end of 7 steps you haven't released anything. And there's no expectation of what you have to release or the time frame and when you release it. It's just making sure that some things are being released and we are holding some things closer in value than others. Not everything has the same value.
Yes, for sure. For sure. And another example is with getting, and permission isn't really the word I want to use, but it's just, again, that release for me, that anxiety release. So I have been going through all of my Christmas decorations, love Christmas, and I have all these shatterproof ornaments, and I have, those individually organized bins where it holds, like 16 ornaments. So I have 8 of those, and some are shatterproof, all these different types of ornaments. But anyways, I have narrowed down my tree because my kids are old enough now. We get a new ornament every year that tree now takes up their ornaments and like my childhood ornaments and family stuff. So my aesthetically beautiful tree that I used to put out isn't out anymore. But I had the hardest time getting rid of these ornaments because I'm like, well, I want to do this again one day. But whenever I thought about it, it's like, when is that one day?
Sure.
Right? So is it in 10 years? Is it in 20 years? Will it ever go back up, or will I be going traveling somewhere to see my children during the holidays? And so really being honest, it's like, okay, I don't necessarily need this, but I'm still having trouble. So then I'll ask my husband, I'm like, hey, if in 10 years, if I want new, ornaments, will you be okay with us making a financial investment, a time investment to do this? And he's like, yes. And so, because for him, he knows the greater financial benefit is not having that, storing all that stuff in our garage,
right? And taking up the space.
Exactly. So so in my mind, it's wasteful, costful to replace it, but in actuality, we're saving money because we're not paying to store it for the next 10 to infinite number of years. So.
Right.
That's been a big reframe.
That's part of the I was just going to go there. That's part of the reframe of, okay, I love these things. I want this. It's not this chapter of life.
Yes.
So do I hold on to this for another 5 years, or do I replace these things eventually? Now, with the shatterproof ornaments that you have, are they usable for someone else?
They are. I have not figured out where to donate them yet.
Okay.
But again, another thing that needs to go out that's in my garage.
Great.
But I'm hoping to find either a charitable donation. I'm going to take it to like Habitat, and they can, decorate a home with it. So that's my thought.
Okay. So you already have a system where you're taking things in the home and putting them in a place, and your husband's taking the donations out of the home. Now, is that all the stuff in the garage you're going through, or stuff inside your home for the move?
We're starting with the garage, and then we're going to move inside, because how we're starting it is at the back. We're just going shelf by shelf, and then the stuff that we know is going to move and keep, we're putting there. So that way, this is the stuff we've gone through. This is the stuff that doesn't need to be touched, and it can just move. And then these are the other things that need to go. I also have a bin right now. And part of the reason there's so much stuff in the garage is I have another bin of items that I'm ready to let go of physically, but I want the mental reminder. So it's things I need to take photos of.
Yes.
And then those will be going out of the home as soon as I photograph them. So
it sounds like you really do have a good process, a system to pare down, to declutter, and to make space. And you're actually staging it in your garage as you go through it. So whatever comes off of these shelves that I have, I'm going to start bringing things from inside and see what fits on those shelves, so we know we have these 4 shelves with 4 levels, and this is what we can store in our new home, in our new garage.
Yes. And then if things don't fit on that, my plan is to, again, take another reframe, like reflect and see, is this stuff, do I want to buy another shelf or take up more space to store these other items, or can I pare down something in every section, or pare down more to make it fit in the physical space I want it to take up?
And that's the gut check. That's the eye, taking inventory. So we've done all of this.
Inspect it.
Are we feeling good? Are we feeling like this fits? Does this function? What I thought I was going to start with, is it really what I really want? Do I need to change something in that? But it sounds like you and your husband are definitely a good team in this. Both have your strengths. Both have that accountability to each other.
Yes.
And that's a really important piece of goal setting for your home. It can't just be my ideas and everybody's got to do what I want, because then you can have some backlash. Some people may not be on board. They may have other goals that they want to fulfill. And so that communication piece is so important if you have other people in the home that you're working towards a common goal.
And something else that has really held me accountable as I ask myself, because again, this isn't the first time I've gone through this. I've gone through several rounds of things where it's like, do I want this? Do I want this? And I set time boundaries for myself. So if it's an item, I may say, if I haven't used this in 6 months, then do I really need it? And then it's not about the item, it's about me feeling comfortable releasing the item, right? And so then that gives me that permission to feel confident and not have the anxiety of letting it go. Or if it's a seasonal item, did I put up that Christmas decoration this year? If not, do I need it? I don't know what the new house is necessarily going to be, how I'm going to decorate it. So do I take it for the maybe, or do I just get rid of it and buy something that fits perfect in that space? So that's been a really helpful step for me, because I'll go back through things. I'm like, oh, I remember seeing this. Whereas before, when it was just a box in the garage, I had the excuse of, well, I don't know what's in it. So
yes,
I don't want to get rid of it because I don't know what's in it, number one. And then if I don't go through it, then it can just live in this, ambiguous space of unknown in the garage for, however long I want to store it. But knowing the inventory that I have and being able to give that time boundary has really helped. And it's also really helped with my children. So I involve them in the process as much as possible. I know there's some people that say do it when they're not looking and get rid of stuff. But for me, I just know when I was a kid, if anyone came in and did that, I would just be like mortified. You took my favorite pencil topper, because I collected them. But so for me, again, going through this process every 6 months with them and saying, these are the toys you have. And they'll be like, well, I love that. I'm like, and I make a note of it and I say, okay, this is a toy you haven't played with. You say you're going to play with it in the next 6 months. So whenever we come back in 6 months, if you haven't played with this, do you think you'd be okay of getting rid of it? And they agree then. They're like, yes. So then in 6 months we come back, and I've had it where they're like, no, but I really love it. And I'm like, but you haven't played with it in 6 months. So are you really going to play with it? And they'll sit in it, and they're 6 and 8. And they'll be like, no, I'm really not. I like this better. So that has worked really, really well. Something else I heard recently to help with kids, to make it really, really simple and easy, is to have a like, a love, and a donate pile, because they can differentiate like and love really easily, right? So keep the loves, and then the likes, we
may hold on to them for a little bit longer, but not forever.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that you involve your kids in this, because this is a life skill.
Yes, but I was not taught.
I wasn't taught this either. And so for us to really start this book and to come up with these ideas and to come up with this system, this 7-step process, it's something that we've really started practicing in our own adult lives. And so with this, if you're teaching this to your children, if you're modeling this at home, how awesome is it going to be for them when they do have their own space? They have their own bedroom. They have their own toys now. Well, when they have their own apartment or their own, home in the future, they'll have wonderful skills and practices already in place that they won't be in the same places that we are today.
For sure. And it amazes me how much the environment really does affect my kids. Like, there was a couple months ago, my son came home and I had just cleaned off the kitchen island, right? Because it seems that's the place where everything piles up. And he came in and he was like, Mom, did you redo the kitchen? And I was like, no, I just cleaned the counters. And he's like, I like it. Can we keep it this way? And it's like, he's 8 and like he sees the benefit of it and he sees how it makes him feel better. So that's been also another big motivation, that I know that me dealing with my hang-ups and demons around stuff will help them as well.
Yeah. So. And I have a 3-year-old at home, so we're both, moms of younger children. It is impossible to keep an impeccable magazine-ready home. We don't expect anybody to feel like you have to live in this magazine home or this home that looks like a museum. But having my son help me with picking up his toys and choosing what toys we keep out and what goes in the garage for a little while, so the space isn't as overwhelming. He's learning confidence in his own decision making. He's learning a voice, that he's important and his opinion is valued, and he's learning life skills so that he can make decisions for the future. And so I think not only is it great for them to see us doing this, but it's a really great practice to teach our kids how to do these things too.
100%. And I mean, and the statistics are crazy. And I know you know this already, but the U.S. has 3% of the entire world child population, and we own 40% of the toys, which is just mind-boggling to me. And when I think about it, they're never going to be able to play with all those toys, right? It's kind of like our clothes closets. Like if we just keep like we're never going to wear everything, or we wear it once and we're done. So,
and how much can your children really value all of those toys if they have hundreds and hundreds of toys? You know, when it comes to, you know, the psychology of children, they actually feel more gratitude around less toys to play with, and they can use their imagination more. They value those things that they see and they use more often than those things that get lost in the way when, you know, they don't even realize it's in their toy room or playroom.
Yeah, I believe the number is like 12. Like it's like really, really low. Like the number
and
of
I
items.
Definitely have more than 12 toys.
Everybody does. I mean, it's America.
But I do think there is something about, you know, us trying to entertain our children or have all the things we think we might need to use or make sure we have the perfect decoration for our Christmas tree. But in reality, we really can do with less. And we're not trying to create a minimalism culture or society. We just want people to feel less overwhelmed, less stressed, less burdened, more comfort and peace in their home. And that starts with starting in your home, creating goals that work for you and the functionality of what you want for your space.
100%. And then going back to my situation with the garage and moving and everything, asking myself, one of the questions that really helps determine if I keep something besides the time boundaries, the space boundaries, is, you know, if I was moving, would I pay someone to move this item? Like, is it worth the cost of moving it again? Number one. And number two, and in light of recent events, you know, I don't take this lightly. This is a hypothetical, but if a natural disaster were to happen, if, you know, my house was to burn down, if my life was completely changed in the blink of an eye, you know, is this an item that I would really care about? Is it an item I would replace? Is it something that I really hold value in? And to me, if I had to start over from scratch, I wouldn't fill my home with all the things I have now. So being in that mindset, what do I value and what do I want in my home and environment?
Yeah, and I think starting with a goal for yourself. So for Jen, your goal is to pare down your garage because you are in a 3-car garage that can store lots of great things, but you want
so many great things.
But you want to live in a home with a 2-car garage that can fit 2 cars.
Yes.
So that is a great place, and she does have a timeline that's set for her, you know, this summer, late spring. But it sounds like you and your husband really have a great system and you have steps to get you there. It's not all going to happen all at once.
Yes.
We're taking a little bit of time in each week, taking a few things out of our garage at a time and looking at those things and making sure they get the time to reflect and evaluate each of those things.
Yes. And I will say, you know, the garage is a larger area to tackle, so that we do set aside an hour or two. But whenever I'm inside just through the day or one evening, if I have 10 minutes, I'll go do a drawer. You know, if I have 20 minutes, I might do a cabinet. And it's like, here's our kitchen small appliances. Do we need all these? So, you know, we're hitting different spots at different times, but some things you will need a block of time for, but there is so much you can do in just 10, 20 minutes a day. So I encourage people to start there if they're feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah. So we're excited for you to join us on the revolution to reframe and reclaim your space. And comment below if you have a goal for your home in 2025. We'd love to hear from you, and we want to encourage you that you can do it one step at a time.
Yeah, and 2025 is your year to thrive. So think about what you really want and go from there.
Okay. See you soon.
Bye.